that stuff? Yeah. The guy had locked everything. Oh, 361, and to rejoice in her name.
He's such a sharp dresser. I don't want him to. Yeah. I can't really compete
Does he want us to start?
Wow! It has not sounded like that in here for a long time. Welcome to one and all. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing, liberal, religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or, as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Welcome to one and all. We're so glad to have you here this morning. Want to begin, as always, by embracing all that you bring with you, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome and appreciated here at the Unitarian Universalist Church. And this, of course, goes for those who are in this room. I have to get used to saying that again. For those who are actually in person in the room, as well as those who are streaming with us, it's so good to have all of you with us as well. You know, we've been looking at our numbers in attendance, and it turns out that the number of those who attend in our stream actually correspond to our regular attendance. So as folks are coming back in person, those numbers are sort of dropping, but essentially we have about the same number of folks attending as we always have. So we really appreciate all of you being here, but I never want to leave out the folks who are at home streaming because you're an important part of our community too. So I want to make sure you know that we're glad to have you, and you are equally as welcome. Going to begin today with, pointing out our unity candle. Our members here know that we put this out when we've lost a member during the week, and this week we lost a really sweet lady, Majel Fausel, who passed away unexpectedly last Saturday. She'd been ill for a couple of years, but it was still unexpected. She just turned 80 and had, again, been unwell for some time. But a lot of you probably know her. She was a very active member in our pastoral care team. I didn't realize it was for 12 years. So she really gave a lot of care to the folks of this congregation. So I'm guessing a lot of you know her. And if you didn't receive some pastoral care from Majel, you probably said hi to her on your way into church, because she was also on the ushers team, believe it or not, for 5 years. So she was definitely a friendly person and a friendly face who has greeted us all, and her absence is going to be missed for a long time. So we kindle this candle as a symbol of the light that she brought to us and our appreciation for her life. When a memorial service is scheduled, we will let you know as soon as we can. We do have, I think as most of you know, our annual meeting shortly following, that is, the conclusion of this morning's service at 12:30. So those of you in particular who are voting members, if you haven't registered yet at the back to get your red voting card, be sure and do so. And we will begin that promptly at 12:30. Hopefully I won't go on so long that you don't have time to grab a cup of coffee or tea or something like that after the service, and to say hi to some of your friends that are here as well. But that'll begin again sharply at 12:30. But let's take a few moments now to greet one another, especially with such a large crowd. It's been a rare opportunity that we get to do that. So those of you who are streaming, feel free to text somebody or call somebody or shoot a quick email, please. Okay, hopefully we'll have a little more time to visit after our service before our annual meeting, but let's move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and be a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
I'll begin today with a prayer in praise of technology and social media by Ren Belevance Grace. In praise of computers and routers and servers and all the hardware and software that can help us build our connectedness. In praise of all the gremlins that live in the machines and bug our programs and help us to practice patience. In praise of the trolls who dwell in the internet and push us to live out our first principle in real time. In praise of power surges that eat our data and devour our final draft, for giving us the opportunity to rebuild and remember that our work is as much transient as it is transcendent. In praise of the error page not found, which reminds us that with some people we need to find new paths to make connections because not everyone uses the same keywords. In praise of servers that drop our connections, which reminds us that all who serve have built-in limits to capacity. In praise of communication and connection, whether it is face-to-face or Facebook to Facebook. We always risk errors, hurt feelings, and misunderstandings, but it is also always worth the risk. Amen.
Page 347 in the hymn book. If you want to stand and join us, that would be good. Gathered spirit. We're a good number gathered here today, so yeah, that's cause for celebration.
Appear
Thank you, and thanks to Susan for leading us in our music today. We appreciate it. And Michelina for your wonderful accompaniment, as always. We are going to have our time for all ages. If anybody wants to come up front where you can see better, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. There you go. Can you see better there? Right there. Perfect. Oh, good. Here comes some more. Because I brought a friend, I want you to be able to see him up close. There. I love those masks. I do like your shoes, especially the bottom of it. That's perfect. You've been doing some walking in those shoes, haven't you? You play baseball with it? With those shoes? I couldn't hear, I'm sorry. I just heard baseball. Guess what? You've got a motorcycle at Papa's house? Okay. Well, look who I have with me. You know who this is? Purple, yes. This is our friend, Purple. Purple, it's great to see you. How's it going? Well, okay, I guess. Oh, yeah, well, Purple, you don't sound so sure. What's going on? I'm up. He's reading the story. Yes, you're going to read the story, right? A little, I'll help. He'll help me. So what's going on with you? Well, I'm upset because I don't have a lot of friends. You don't have a lot of friends? Well, Purple, you've got an entire room full of friends here, right now. Yeah, but it's not enough. Boy, I feel inadequate. How many friends is it that you want? 1,296. Wow, that's a very specific number. Why do you need so many friends? Because that's how many Carla has. Carla? Well, who is Carla? She used to be my friend. Oh, she used to be your friend. Well, why aren't you friends anymore? Because I'm not on Facebook. Oh, well, you're too young to be on Facebook, so that's probably a good thing. And secondly, why can't you be friends just because you're not on Facebook? Because Carla says that's where all her friends are. Oh, well, I see. And when exactly is it that Carla told you this? Yesterday when we were at the playground. I see. And were you playing while you were at the playground? Yeah, she pushed me on the swing, and we rode down the slide together, and we hung on the nunky doors. Wow, well that sounds like a lot of fun, Purple. It was great fun. We're going to do it again next Saturday. Okay. Well, isn't playing and having fun and getting together with friends what it means to be friends? Would you say, guys? Wouldn't you say so, Purple? Well, I guess so. Well, so you are friends with Carla. Even if I'm not on Facebook? Even if you're not on Facebook. Facebook is just a computer program that allows us to keep up with people, but it's hard to be a friend to 1,000 people. Do you have 1,000 friends, Gibson? No, that's a lot of friends, isn't it? Yeah. But Carla has 1,296 friends. Well, yeah, but Carla probably doesn't go to the playground with all of those, I'm guessing. No way, she doesn't have that much time. No, she doesn't have that much time. And our best friends are the people that we care enough to make time for. Would you think? We make time to be with our friends? Time to see and visit them and have fun? You mean in real life, not on Facebook? Right, in real life. I'll bet Carla can't name all 1,296 of her friends on Facebook, but I'll bet she can name the friend that she's going to go to the playground with next Saturday. That's me. That is you, Purple. And I hope that you guys have lots of fun. Well, thanks, but I've got to go. Well, what's your hurry all of a sudden? I got to go FaceTime Carla and tell her we're still friends. All right. Thank you, Purple. Yeah, so you guys can go back with your folks, or if there's activities tables in the back if you want to hang out that we're doing for this summer while we're waiting to get our RE up and going again.
We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger world.
Thanks again, Michelina. We're now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. And want to begin with a candle on behalf of one of our longtime church members, Fran Limber, who is now under hospice care. Please keep her and her husband Wayne in your thoughts. Also a candle for church member James Mirren, whose father, Harry Francis Mirren, passed away recently. We do want to kindle a candle of celebration this morning for Lila and George Gervin, who are going to celebrate their 70th wedding anniversary. There they are. Yeah, actually on the summer solstice this year. So now, remind me how long you've been members of the church, because you told me that too, and that was another big number. Do you remember? Since 84? All right, so you're going to make me do the math. It's a long time ago. Well, congratulations to both of you. It's wonderful to have you here. Huge milestone. And also another anniversary. I didn't ask their permission, but I found this out last night. So today is the 17th wedding anniversary of Stephanie and Shane Groenholz. Congratulations to you guys. Yeah. Now let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others that you might be thinking of this morning. And as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion.
I invite you into a time of meditation now. Adjust your position so that you're comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Relax with a slow, deep breath, and reflect on these words. Teach my heart healing words. Show me the words that help rather than harm. Instruct me in the verbs that bring energy, the nouns pointing to the real, the adjectives describing your subtleties. Reveal to me how words can be offered in a way that connects rather than separates, that develops trust and eschews suspicion, that opens the heart and relaxes the mind.
I'm going to read a brief anecdote from a book that is subtitled Social Media's Effect on the Brain and the Tools You Need to Navigate Your News Feed. The title is even more ingenious. Think Before You Like. And there's a wonderful anecdote in here. I'm just going to read the first part of it because I think it's something all of us can relate to. We've probably seen this, if not had others observed it about ourselves. So with no further suspense. I was sitting in the corner sweet spot of a local coffee shop, lost in writing and minding my own business, when two women marched in side by side. It was probably the clicking of their heels on the tile floor that drew my mind away from my search for the next sentence. They bought drinks and sat down at a table near mine. Before my brain could reboot and slide back into work mode, I noticed something that would have been viewed as bizarre, mysterious, and even otherworldly only a couple of decades ago. The two women, who were obvious friends as indicated by their earlier behavior at the counter, were not talking. They did not so much as glance at one another. Over the next 10 minutes or so, they never spoke. Instead, they stared down at their phones and busied themselves poking and swiping on minuscule touchscreens in total silence.
It was about March, not this last March, but a year before, that we're sitting choir, and of course news of COVID broke out, and choirs being a super spreader, so we quickly disbanded. And it was surprising how long it took, well, we haven't even got back yet, before the choir reassembles. And I think we all sitting in the choir at that moment never thought how long it would be or how much was taken from us. Seeing the children this morning here back. The words are from Joni Mitchell's song, is don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Yeah, I'll pull it together here. Appropriate song. Talking hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hotspot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Paid paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum. They charged the people $1.50 just to see them. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Paid paradise, put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DT now. Give me spots on my apples and leave me the birds and the bees, please. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Paid paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night I heard the screen door slam. A big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Paid paradise, put up a parking lot. Yeah, they paid paradise, put up a parking lot. I said they paid paradise, put up a parking lot.
Susan, thanks again for that very timely message. Beautifully sung. I think my sermon is rather timely today as well. I'm going to begin, in fact, with a specific date, January 6th, 2021, that will go down as a day of infamy in the U.S., is the day hundreds of Americans violently stormed the nation's Capitol building in an effort to prevent certification of President Joe Biden's election. Many of us understandably blame Donald Trump for his role in inciting the riot, who for many weeks had been making unsubstantiated claims that the election was stolen, and on the day of the rioting spoke to the disgruntled demonstrators, urging them to show strength and to fight like hell, or you're not going to have a country anymore. To the dismay of millions, though not to our surprise, Republican legislators chose to give Donald Trump yet another pass, this time for his role in a failed coup. And it would appear an attempt to overthrow American democracy is hardly cause for denouncing him as the party leader. Still, as much as Trump ought to be held accountable for his indisputable role in the failed overthrow of our government, because that's what it was, not an insurrection, but a failed coup, there is another, perhaps even more powerful actor at fault for what happened on January 6th. In a brief opinion piece in Wired magazine the next day, Roger McNamee wrote, "President Trump and his enablers in government and right-wing media will shoulder the blame for Wednesday's insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, but internet platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter in particular, have played a fomenting and facilitating role that no one should overlook." McNamee, who was an early investor in Facebook and a mentor of its founder, Mark Zuckerberg, goes on to explain, in their relentless pursuit of engagement and profits, these platforms created algorithms that amplify hate speech, disinformation, and conspiracy theories. His main concern is that social media platforms are no longer restricted to online conversations, but are having detrimental impacts in the real world. McNamee writes, for example, Facebook's own research revealed that 64% of the time a person joins an extremist Facebook group, they do so because the platform recommended it. Facebook has also acknowledged that pages and groups associated with QAnon extremism had at least 3 million members, meaning that Facebook helped radicalize 2 million people. Not only did it radicalize them, but it helped them to coalesce and to organize their concerted efforts. McNamee writes that over the past 6 months, QAnon subsumed MAGA, right? Make America Great Again, and the anti-vax movement, with a major assist from the platforms and policies on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. I think we would all agree that the use of computer algorithms that foster anger and hostility just to turn a profit are a terrible thing, and something that we need to do something about. The question is what? Freedom of speech must remain a fundamental principle of a free society, including the speech that is expressed on social media, even the speech on social media that we might disagree with. The problem, however, is not one of speech, but the blind, unsolicited, and automated promotion of extreme speech. It's one thing for an individual to express unsubstantiated paranoid conspiracy on social media, but it is another thing for a thoughtless algorithm to amplify such extremism with preferential placement that shares it with millions of others. Were this not happening, it is unlikely that QAnon would even exist. As another contributor of Wired data scientist Rene DiResta explains, these algorithms are invisible, but they have an outsized impact on shaping individuals' experience online and in society at large. Indeed, YouTube's video recommendation algorithm inspires 700 million hours of watch time per day and can spread misinformation, disrupt elections, and incite violence. Algorithms like this need fixing, she says. Since the spread of such misinformation has nothing to do with human intentions, but is being automated by computer algorithms, it can be argued that changing the algorithms would do nothing to violate anyone's free speech. Right? There's not a human being saying, I'm choosing to amplify these. It's just a program, a runaway program. They can still use social media to express themselves, including their wildest, meanest, dumbest ideas if they want, but the algorithms don't need to help them do so. That's not a constitutional right. As DiResta says, free speech does not mean free reach. Just because someone says something crazy and conspiratorial does not mean social media companies are obligated to share it with millions of people, especially when its algorithms don't tend to do the same for claims that are less radical, more positive, and better substantiated. In other words, these algorithms currently favor extremists and promote extremism, but they don't have to. Getting back to McNamee, while I agree with his explanation of the problem, I disagree with his assertion that these platforms also enforce their terms of service in ways that favor extreme speech and behavior, predominantly right-wing extremism. In fact, his article only refers to examples of right-wing misinformation, while lifting up Democratic President Biden as the guy who has the power to fix the problem. After mentioning social media's role in the Capitol riots, promoting white supremacy and anti-vax conspiracies, and organizing QAnon, McNamee says the Biden administration has an opportunity to change incentives. It can put the tech industry back on a productive course, and an engine of growth and empowerment. Not that he gives us any assurances that the Biden administration will take advantage of its opportunity to correct the problem, but in my opinion, it is misleading to suggest that the spread of right-wing conspiracies should be at the core of our concerns over this. After all, the cancel culture, as it has been named, which uses social media to ruin the lives and livelihoods of individuals, is a socially progressive phenomenon. Using social media to spread misinformation and to affect real harm in society is happening as much on the left as it is on the right, if not more so, which should be of concern to those of us who are on the left, who still care about liberal values like freedom, reason, truth, and fairness. Tragically, to prove the point, we need go no further than our own liberal religion. In recent years, the leadership of the Unitarian Universalist Association has consolidated its control of our religion by eliminating districts and the involvement of local congregations and church members, as well as self-selecting its own board members in uncontested elections, which basically means they're not elections. Since we are no longer engaging with each other through traditional means, by serving together on district boards or program committees, or having representatives from around the country on a large UUA board of trustees with lots of representation, the UUA leadership is acting as if its member congregations are living out our lives on social media, which they appear to be monitoring like George Orwell's Big Brother. Earlier this year, for instance, Reverend Kate Rhodey, a friend of mine, wrote a letter of explanation after she was suspended from the UU Ministers Association. My UUMA colleagues will have already heard that I have been canceled, suspended from membership by the UUMA, she begins. The professional organization for UU ministers that I have been a member of for more than 40 years, and to which I gave several thousand hours of volunteer time in my leadership capacities for more than 2 decades. Although you know I was suspended, they did not tell you why. Now, in previous years, such an extreme action would have occurred only after a formal grievance had been filed against a minister, had been presented to the minister, and the minister had an opportunity to address the matter. But in this case, there wasn't even a formal grievance. As Reverend Rhodey says, although I do not know precisely what the accuser said because she was not told, I do know that there were 3 of them making 3 different complaints but working together to do so. These were not people I have ever met. My sins appear to be in the form of Facebook post. Without even being told precisely what it is she is supposed to have said or who complained, she says she was given a list of demands to meet to keep her membership, including 2 requests she considered unacceptable. One involved never speaking or posting any material at all on a specific topic. This, I felt, would give up my right to freedom of the pulpit, and I do not feel they have a legal right to ask that. The other involved cutting off all relationships whatsoever with a group of people I had known many years. Although I am not in a close relationship with any of those people, I am Facebook friends with several of them, and again, I do not think the UUMA has a right to tell me to unfriend them. I mean, I can't even believe I'm using this language. So not only had they tried, convicted, and sentenced Reverend Rhodey for some undisclosed comments made on Facebook, but she knew that she never knew that there was even an issue. But she was additionally told that she could not be friends with people on Facebook. Because she has not fully cooperated, which AKA means obeyed, the church authorities, Reverend Rhodey is now also in trouble with the UUA's Ministerial Fellowship Committee, the MFC. and at risk of losing her professional credentials. Like me, she may soon find herself disfellowshipped, or as I prefer, excommunicated from the official order of UU ministers, at which point she will also be immediately kicked out of the UU Ministers Association, as I was, in a polite letter that will conclude with wishes for a joyous day. I'm not making it up. But even before my public flogging and defrocking, Reverend Richard Trudeau, another seasoned UU minister, received a similar letter of censure from the UU Ministers Association for something that he said on Facebook in March of 2018. His entire post is a bit lengthy for our purposes, but it begins with a simple question. I have reservations about current UU racial justice ideology and would like to find a place to discuss them with my colleagues of all races. I can't imagine that our moderators would allow such a discussion here. Can anyone suggest a place? He then goes on to briefly outline his specific areas of concern in a calm and rational way. Not long afterward, he received a letter of censure from the UUMA accusing him of being out of covenant. There's that term again. You said something I disagree with. You're out of covenant. This is the UUA. I can't believe it. And violating its code of ethics without explaining how specifically he did so. The censure also says, the board took these actions as a result of complaints made against you on Facebook and in your chapter meetings. We hope that in receiving this admonishment from your fellow ministers, you may take time to reflect upon how your words have been harmful to colleagues, specifically women and colleagues of color. This is another example of a minister being blindsided by the UUMA with no advance warning that there was even an issue for unspecified complaints made on Facebook. Similarly, Reverend Richard Davis, who has served as my good officer since the controversy around my book erupted 2 years ago, the Gadfly Papers, was pressured to stop publicly supporting me by UUM trustees, UU Ministers Association trustees, who were monitoring his post on social media. The first communication began with a trustee who had censured me, right? We're worried about him violating some kind of conflict, stating, a fellow good officer noticed your post on the Gadfly Facebook page and emailed me concerned that you seem to be struggling to clarify your role, which she then offered to help clarify. Eventually, Reverend Davis, who continued publicly supporting me, or in his terms, supporting his own religion, in the same way that the UUMA had publicly condemned me, was officially removed from the good officer's role, a position that he had held, that he had been elected to and held for nearly 30 years. On April 2nd, 2020, he received a letter from the UUMA president explaining, I am writing today to inform you that we are removing you from the UUMA's list of ratified good officers effective immediately for repeatedly ignoring their warnings. Most recently, it was announced that another young minister has been disfellowshipped by the Ministerial Fellowship Committee. Although we have not been given the details, and email that I've seen explains that he was removed for bullying. For bullying. Now, as soon as I heard this word, I recalled a public letter of condemnation in reaction against me in my book regarding my questioning of a Latina applicant who accused the UUA of being a white supremacist organization simply because she did not get the job that she wanted. The letter of condemnation called my mere questioning of her unsubstantiated accusation a clear case of racial bullying. I cannot help but believe this latest excommunication was also the result of something this young minister said on Facebook that somebody else simply disagrees with. I know of other UU ministers who have been kicked out of collegial Facebook groups for questioning the new party line, being accused of abusive and harmful behavior. And recently, the Fifth Principle Project, founded by Frank Casper and Jay Kiskell in 2019, authors of the recent book Used to Be UU, had their application to have a booth in the exhibit hall of this year's virtual UUA General Assembly placed on hold because of complaints made against them on Facebook. The application has been placed on hold. In April 2021, notice explained, because our office is in receipt of 3 emails expressing concern about the presence of a Fifth Principle Project booth at General Assembly. The email went on to share the 3 emails they'd received, each of which complains about the Fifth Principle Project's comments on social media. Without citing a single example, the complaints make ad hominem remarks like, Mr. Casper has a history of toxic behavior towards UUs in online spaces. The Online Behavior Fifth Principle Project founder Frank Casper and other 5PP group members has been disconcerting. But the real reason for banning their booth appears to be their dissenting opinions. As one of the emails admits, the idea that someone can get an exhibitor booth to promote said book seems very out of covenant to me. If their booth is approved, it would make me feel very uncomfortable, and many other people as well. Well, we wouldn't want people to feel uncomfortable. Not UUs, right? That's not universalism, right? To make people feel uncomfortable by saying things they might disagree with. The email concludes with the UUA representative stating that the UUAGA will not be complicit when our intended audience, registered attendees of General Assembly, perceive rhetoric to be deliberately antagonistic and harmful. In other words, if anyone says something they dislike, the UUA's new policy is to prohibit them from speaking. The final example I'll give regards a conversation that I had with a UUMA board member just 2 days prior to receiving their letter of censure nearly 2 years ago. The trustee said, I know you don't pay much attention to social media, but it's a mess out there. Now, to me, that's like saying, I know you don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but the wizards and dragons are going after it. There's this perceived mess is why the UUMA, it was explained, felt compelled to act in censoring me. Yes, like Reverend Rhodey, Reverend Trudeau, Reverend Davis, the younger minister I mentioned, the Fifth Principle Project founders, I was being punished as a consequence of what people were saying on Facebook. All of this is to go back to the larger point with which we began. Social media, as wonderful as it is in many ways, has some alarming drawbacks. It too often plays upon our most primitive emotions and instincts, like fear and anger in particular. If the internet is the beginning of what many predict will become a global brain, I suspect we're going to look back someday and consider social media the reptilian part of that brain. During the past couple of years, people I've enjoyed knowing for a long time have said things about me on Facebook that seem completely out of character. Comments that are so mean-spirited and hostile and unsubstantiated that it's as if someone else had made them entirely. But on the few occasions I've been in the same room with some of them, or at least the same Zoom room, at least somewhat face-to-face, as it were, it was as if they were themselves again, kind and polite, if not a little embarrassed. It's like being on Freud's couch and he asks us to say whatever comes to mind. Think before you like, right? Communicating on social media is too often an emotional, if not completely unconscious, act. And this makes sense if you stop to think about it, and that's the point. We should stop to think about it. Stop to think about everything we say, especially on social media, where what we say will last forever. And it may come back to haunt us. And if the tables ever get turned and our society comes to recognize how flawed it has been to cancel people in this way, those cancelers may find things flipped, which I wouldn't want, but that's how it goes. In his book about thinking, journalist Guy Harrelson brings up several unconscious effects that can overcome us when using this technology because of the amount of misinformation online and our own unconscious tendencies to believe what we read, confirmation bias, groupthink, the desire to want to be included, to join the bandwagon, overestimating the importance of what we say, we ourselves say, and gravitating towards authoritarian figures. That's what apes do. Social media lends itself well to unconscious thinking and reacting, which unfortunately often leads to real-life consequences for those who are subject to such thoughtlessness, I should say. Harrison says, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter users know that great power is always at their fingertips and the fingertips of others. With a simple click, they can banish or be banished from a community forever. He also admits, or reminds us, I should say, that exiling was a common practice in some ancient societies, and here we are again. Today, people are exiled from social media tribes every moment. While I'm certain that there are many thoughtful, intelligent, fairly moderated conversations and groups on Facebook, and that there are many users capable of thinking before they react, and that social media is here to stay, as religious liberals, we should be aware that the irresponsible and destructive use of this powerful technology is undermining both our religion and our liberal values. Unitarian Universalists do not have a holy book that determines who speaks the truth and who should be silenced and punished for disagreeing with the church authorities. Facebook is not by any means our new Bible. Nor does Unitarian Universalist community happen on social media platforms that can easily be monitored by a small group of people in Boston who have consolidated power into their own tiny hands. Even without our democratic system in place, our representation on the National Board of Trustees or denominational involvement allowed on district levels, Unitarian Universalism still happens in our local congregations, which is where it should happen. And this means it is still up to us to do the right thing, to practice our liberal values by communicating with care, with intelligence, and openness to dissenting opinions on any platform. Thank you.
Hey, Susan, I'm going to make a recommendation.
Oh, yeah, just a second.
Debbie, forgive me for doing this, okay? We all know this song, and you're mentioning about the choir earlier in the service. I see 10 or 12 choir members sitting out here in the congregation today. We all know this song, so Susan would probably love to have a little choir backup.
Yes.
Would anybody like to come up? Bring your turquoise hymnal with you. 1064. Okay? Debbie, you get to come up too. So
Yeah, gonna make me cry.
Dick, do you want to try to hobble over here? Or, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Where's Debbie?
We don't want to face this way and say.
Yeah. So, now, I will say this. I'm sure that none of these people have practiced on the way here. So don't expect a whole lot today, but they're good. So, okay. Whenever you're ready.
Well, you're not in here.
She's going to look at you. There you go. Yes.
Page 16, are we,
Yep.
the congregation singing with us?
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stand
Yep.
up. Page 164 should be up here as well.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great Prince urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. In closing, join hands, join elbows, whatever you're comfortable with. I'll share these words in closing. Be true, be well, be loving by Cynthia Landrum. Hard to do. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection. Our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues until we are together again. Friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom. Shalom, Haverim, Shalom. put them out of home.